When we got our marriage certificate, Lucas told me he didn't know how to love, so for 5 years of marriage, he gave me all his passion and desire. It was a family-arranged marriage, and I knew I couldn't be greedy. I thought this would be enough, until the anniversary night. I broke his rule in bed for the first time, secretly removing the blindfold, but accidentally saw the name tattooed on the dimple of his back. That was when I realized Lucas wasn't incapable of love. He had just hidden it away, saving it all for my sister. We had a huge fight, wishing each other dead. Little did I know, those words would prove prophetic. Both of them perished in a car crash, plunging off a cliff together. In his final moments, Lucas, his face covered in blood, looked at me and pleaded, "Tina, if there's a next life, let's not be husband and wife anymore, okay?" I stared at him, laughing bitterly like a madwoman. Opening my eyes again, I saw Lucas kneeling upright on the ground. "Uncle and Aunt, I can't marry Tina. It's Jenny I love." I froze, but I quickly let it go. This time, I didn't want to choose him either. "Are you really sure you want to marry Harry, Mrs. Lincoln?" Felt somewhat reluctant, while I calmly exchanged the marriage certificate with her. After confirming that the name on the certificate was Harry, I smiled gently. "It's confirmed, Auntie." Mrs. Lincoln earnestly advised once more. "Fortune tellers all say Harry won't live past 30. Tina. Even if Lucas disagrees with the arranged marriage, you don't have to choose a husband only from the Lincoln family." In his previous life, Harry indeed died at the age of 30. At that time, Mrs. Lincoln fainted from crying, and Mr. Lou aged significantly overnight. Everyone mourned his passing. He was remarkable, becoming the head of the Lincoln family at such a young age. Beneath his frail body lay the most resolute heart. Before his death, I had intended to see him one last time. Yet from his mouth came the words, "I like Tina, whatever I've done, she doesn't need to know. I only wish for her happiness." He said not all love needs to be spoken aloud, not all love demands reciprocation. Year after year, no one knew, except his assistant, how deeply his love was hidden, so deep that I never noticed even a hint of it, until the very last moment he left this world with endless regrets. So, even if it's just for that one word, like, I want to help him too. At least to prevent him from dying with regrets. After a long pause, I raised a smile and gently patted the back of her hand. I reassured her, "Auntie, Harry will live a long and healthy life." After Mrs. Lincoln left, my mother also came to ask me, "Are you really not just angry with Lucas?" She knew how much I liked Lucas, childhood sweethearts. From the moment my heart first fluttered, there was no room for any other boy in my eyes. I thought he felt the same. But I never imagined it was just my unrequited love all along. In my past life, when Lucas and I got our marriage certificate, he told me, "I've lived a life of calculation since childhood. I don't know how to love, nor can I love, but whatever I can give, I'll give to you." After 5 years of marriage, we were known in our circle as the perfect match, a talented man and a beautiful woman, a loving couple. So, to preserve this marriage, I was willing to teach Lucas how to love me. And I could even indulge his occasional whims, even his preferences in bed, I could tolerate. In our past life, before getting into bed, Lucas would always hand me a blindfold or tie a necktie over my eyes. He said, "Tina's eyes are too beautiful. I'm afraid I might lose control and hurt you." Every time, I would blush shyly to the tips of my ears. Later, once or twice, he forgot to cover my eyes. I was thrilled at the thought of seeing his passionate expression. But he would only coax me to change positions, then tenderly kiss my back bit by bit as if to make amends. We almost never faced each other, and I simply assumed it was Lucas's habit. Until the 5th anniversary, I secretly removed my blindfold for the first time, only to accidentally discover the name tattooed on the dimple of his back. Humiliation and betrayal washed over me simultaneously. At that moment, I felt as if I had fallen into an icy abyss. I went berserk and smashed everything in the bedroom, grabbing an ashtray and hurling it at Lucas. I hurled every vile insult imaginable, wishing him dead, cursing him to the endless abyss of hell. Yet if given another chance, I'd do nothing, just stay as far away from him as possible. Think about it carefully. Lucas treated me very well. He just didn't love me. The engagement banquet is scheduled for next month. Mrs. Lincoln said these matters would be handled by the Lincoln family. And I just needed to wait peacefully. She gave me the opportunity to change my mind at any time. I smiled helplessly and replied, "This isn't fair to Harry, he's just sick." I sent a message to the Research Institute's assistant, asking them to prepare the experimental equipment for me. In my previous life, after Harry's heart transplant, I locked myself in the laboratory for a while researching antibacterial drugs. Later, when the drugs were ready for production, he had already passed away from infection. I hope I can make it in time this time. Suddenly, Lucas sent me a message. "Come to the 9 Nights Club. I need to discuss something with you." I refused outright. The first thing Lucas did after his rebirth was to come to my house to cancel our arranged marriage and profess his love to my adopted sister, Jenny. He set off fireworks all night to cheer Jenny up. The topic about them stayed at the top of the trending list, with everyone praising them as a perfect match. Paparazzi even captured a video of them strolling by the seaside. Jenny seemed tired from walking and playfully asked Lucas to carry her. I initially thought he would refuse, but he didn't. With a doting smile, he knelt on one knee, gently massaged her ankle first, and then effortlessly lifted her onto his back, his movements fluid and tender. A netizen commented, "Lucas is truly head over heels in love with Jenny." During this time, he stayed by Jenny's side, dutifully and attentively catering to her, spoiling her like a little princess. He was making every effort to make up for the regrets of his past life. He wanted to live a different kind of life. I don't object, as long as it doesn't involve me. But in the end, I still came to the 9 Nights Club, though not because of Lucas. I want to see Harry, and his assistant called me back. "Miss Tina, President Harry is discussing business at 9 Bar, if it's urgent, you can come directly." I instinctively frowned and couldn't help but tease, "Still drinking while sick? Is he afraid he won't die fast enough?" The assistant on the other end immediately went silent. After a long silence, only a faint cough could be heard. In the end, the assistant hastily left a private room number before hanging up the phone. Surprisingly, Lucas seemed certain that I would come, as he had sent someone to watch for me here early in the morning. The moment I showed my face, 2 bodyguards at the entrance forcibly escorted me to Lucas's private room. After pushing the door open, he immediately pressed down hard on my shoulders, forcing me to kneel on the ground, the coldness seeping from the floor into my knees. A sense of humiliation washed over me once again. I clenched my fists, glaring at the man before me. "Lucas, are you out of your mind?" The dim light in the private room cast shadows as Lucas bit a cigarette from the pack, lit it, took a drag, and exhaled a cloud of white smoke. "I didn't want it to come to this either. If you refuse to cooperate, if you won't call off the engagement, then don't blame me for playing dirty." Suddenly, my mind went completely blank. My wedding with Lucas had clearly been cancelled long ago. Does he still not know? I instinctively struggled a bit, opening my mouth to explain. Lucas had already walked up to me, holding a glass of wine, pinching my chin. "Tina, don't blame me. I just want to live the life I desire for once. As long as you're tainted, they won't force me to marry you." I stared fixedly at Lucas, my eyes brimming with boundless sorrow. My heart ached so much it felt like it was being wrung out. The bond of childhood sweethearts, 5 years of marriage, truly as worthless as dirt. "So you're going to drug me and send me to whose bed?" For a moment, Lucas seemed lost in thought, his thin lips pressed tightly together, his movements pausing for just 2 seconds. In the end, he forced the wine into my mouth. "The Lincoln family has been busy these past 2 days preparing for our engagement banquet. I really can't wait any longer. I've found you a suitable young master from a well-matched family. He will take responsibility for you and marry you." "Lucas, you're crazy. You're really crazy." I struggled desperately to break free from his grip, but there were 2 bodyguards behind me, their strength too overwhelming to resist. The liquor suddenly rushed down my throat. The intense irritation made me cough uncontrollably. My face turned crimson, the spilled wine trickling down my chin and soaking the shirt on my chest, clung tightly to my skin. "Tina, be good." His voice was soft as he reached out to wipe the wine stain from the corner of my mouth. The bodyguard had already released me by then, gasping for breath. I still looked somewhat disheveled, my hands weakly braced against the floor as a layer of reflexive tears welled up in my eyes. My red lips curled into a self-deprecating arc. "Lucas, I'm not going to marry you, and I won't marry you." Hearing this, he smirked disdainfully. "Are you really sure, Tina? I know you too well. I know how much you like me." So I had no choice but to do this. He was so confident, so certain. Suddenly, Jenny appeared at the door of the private room, clutching the hem of her dress tightly, her gaze fixed directly on me. Her voice trembled slightly. "Sister, Lucas, you." Lucas's body stiffened abruptly, his smile freezing at the corner of his lips. "Jenny, why are you here? Who brought you here? This place is so dirty, you shouldn't have come." He walked up to Jenny awkwardly, his voice gentle, his movements soft and obedient. At that moment, he was like a devout believer, his eyes brimming with nothing but sincere love. It was a side of him I had never seen before. Indeed, the line between love and its absence is as clear as day. I stared at Lucas for a long time, an indescribable bitterness welling up inside me. People are truly strange. In my past life, after I married Lucas, Jenny went abroad and never returned. He's always regretting the past now. But if he had truly wanted to marry her back then, who could have stopped him, if he had really loved her that much? A plane ticket to the U.S., just over $2,000, but did Lucas ever go to see Jenny? No. Sometimes I don't know whether to be grateful that he was loyal enough to me in our past life, or to be grateful that he was timid and cowardly. Lucas coaxed Jenny into going home. She pressed her lips together without saying much, her gaze towards me unreadable. In the end, I was left alone where I stood. The effects of the drug quickly took hold. The two bodyguards, following Lucas's instructions, stood guard at the door, waiting for the well-matched young master he had arranged to arrive. I bit my lower lip, leaning on the nearby table as I struggled unsteadily to stand up, but my legs felt weak and powerless, and I nearly stumbled and fell. A strong arm suddenly reached out from behind to steady me. "Miss Tina, be careful." It was Harry's assistant. I was slightly breathless, my cheeks flushed. Lucas had administered a considerable dose, enough to break down my defenses. "Miss Tina, you've been drugged." I didn't respond to him, only weakly reaching for the wine bottle on the table. Just as I was about to press the sharp glass shard against my arm with a crash, Harry in the wheelchair was the first to react. He reached out and grabbed my wrist, frowning tightly. "I have a doctor with me, don't hurt yourself." Suddenly, I froze, my pupils slightly unfocused. Harry's hands were cool, his palms soft, making one yearn for more, to be touched by him, to be caressed by him. I couldn't resist leaning closer to his face, staring at his thin lips. "Mr. Harry, may I kiss you?" I blinked my eyes. Harry's fingers trembled slightly, and his assistant behind him coughed in fright. "Miss Tina, our sir's condition, perhaps, not very." Before he could finish, I paused for a moment, then finally nodded absent-mindedly. As reason overcame desire, Harry gave the assistant a cool glance, prompting the assistant to clear his throat and excuse himself to call for the doctor. The bodyguards outside have already been taken care of by Harry's men, including the young master of the Smith family who was just about to enter. It took nearly half an hour of struggle. The effects of the drug finally subsided, though barely. Weakly sitting on the sofa, Harry's brows remained tightly furrowed. "I didn't expect Lucas to do something like this. It's my fault for putting you in such danger. I'm sorry. I didn't think it through." His eyes were filled with remorse. Harry and Lucas are two extremes, one gentle and refined, humble and courteous, while the other is unruly and arrogant, looking down on everyone. Life truly isn't fair, to let such a good person die at the age of 30. Seeing my prolonged silence, Harry's face darkened further as he said earnestly, "Miss Tina, I will make Lucas apologize to you. This matter won't be left unsettled. He will pay the price." As soon as the words fell, I looked up just in time to catch the fleeting emotion in his eyes. Harry was angry, because Lucas hurt me. In my past life, I accidentally overheard that he liked me, and later I simply kept this matter buried in my heart. No one had ever told me. At this moment, I suddenly wanted to ask Harry why he liked me. Before I could even process it, the words had already slipped out. His expression froze for a moment before he stiffly replied, "Miss Tina, what did you say?" I repeated the question. "I'd like to ask Mr. Harry, why do you like me?" The assistant tactfully left the private room, leaving only Harry and me inside, his thin lips pressed into a tight line. After a long silence, instead of answering my question, he asked, "Then what about you? Why did you choose to marry me?" "Fortune tellers all say I won't live past 30. Harry's voice was hoarse, as if he mustered all his courage to test an answer. Because Harry is good. I leaned slightly forward from the sofa, reaching out to touch his furrowed brow. Fortune-telling isn't accurate, Harry, smile for me, and I promise you'll live 100 years. Everyone says you won't live past 30, but I insist on you living 100 years. On you surviving. Harry pressed his lips together, staring straight at me, his long-restrained emotions seemingly on the verge of breaking free, yet, in just 2 seconds, he masked them perfectly again. Miss Tina, I'll take your kind words as a good omen, I said. Harry, trust me this once. After a long while, he finally nodded, with the experimental data results from my past life, with the backing of the James and Lincoln families. The Research Institute can put the new antibacterial drug into production as early as next week. This time, I hope the heavens will show a little more favor to Harry. The date of the engagement with Harry is drawing closer by the day. Only the invitations remain to be sent out, and Lucas actually still thinks he's the one I'm going to marry, because of the drugging incident. Lucas received 30 lashes as family discipline and was confined for 5 days. As soon as he was released, he rushed straight to my house. When I went downstairs and saw the butler attending to him, I instinctively frowned. His complexion didn't look too good, somewhat pale. When he saw me, he immediately walked over. Tina, I instinctively took a step back. His movements paused for a moment before he continued, pretending as if nothing had happened. Drugging you was reckless of me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have insulted you in such an extreme way. Lucas lowered his head in apology. I merely curved my lips, with not a trace of warmth in my eyes. No need for apologies, Lucas. It's best if we go our separate ways from now on, and avoid crossing paths. Hearing this, Lucas immediately shook his head and said, Tina, I was wrong. I promise nothing like this will happen again. If my brother hadn't saved you that day, I might have caused irreversible consequences. Tina, I truly know I was wrong. I shouldn't have trampled on your feelings. I know you really wanted to marry me. I know your devotion. He paused, as if steeling himself for something. After a long silence, he finally spoke in a hoarse voice. Tina, I'll marry you. Consider this as my way of making up for drugging you. Suddenly, the living room fell into dead silence. I stared fixedly at Lucas, unable to suppress a cold laugh in my heart. Jenny appeared at the stairway at some point, her eyes slightly red, her voice tinged with grievance. Lucas. What about me then? Didn't you say you were going to marry me? How can you go back on your word? A flicker of panic flashed in Lucas's eyes. He instinctively glanced at me, but ultimately walked past me to stand before Jenny. Jenny, I'm sorry. Tina is deeply in love with me, and I don't want to hurt her. Jenny cried harder and harder, making Lucas even more flustered as he clumsily tried to comfort her. Look how much he loves Jenny, now. I seem like the villain who ruined their relationship. I don't want to watch this drama anymore. As I turned to leave, Lucas's hesitant voice came through. Tina, I won't go back on my word. I sneered mockingly, but I had already changed my mind long ago. If possible, I wish I had never met Lucas in my past life either. After calming Jenny's emotions, Lucas sat in her room, his thoughts drifting far away. He and Tina grew up together as childhood sweethearts. Tina liked him, so she had always been very good to him, and after marriage, her kindness only increased. She even accepted all his rules in bed without exception. He had thought it would be fine to continue living like this, until Tina discovered the tattoo on the small of his back. That was when he was 15, in the school dance studio. He witnessed Jenny's breathtaking performance, the ethereal silhouette behind the white gauze stirring his heart. From then on, he could never forget it. Jenny appears in his dreams day and night. He has thought about confessing his feelings to her, but Jenny's eyes have never held him in their gaze. As long as Tina is around, it seems she can only see Tina, becoming her most obedient adopted sister. He is terrified of causing trouble for Jenny, so he kept his feelings buried deep in his heart, secretly tattooing her name on the small of his back. For 10 years, he never forgot that dance, nor did he forget Jenny, in his past life. If Tina hadn't insisted on making a scene, he thought, they wouldn't have ended up falling off a cliff together. Fortunately, he was reborn. This time, he couldn't afford to have any more regrets, so he called off the engagement with Tina and confessed his feelings to Jenny. He went to great lengths to break off the engagement, even going as far as drugging Tina, but for some reason, his heart still felt empty, not as joyful as he had expected. 30 lashes and 3 days in confinement made him realize that he still wanted to marry Tina, even if he loved Jenny. "Lucas, do you really like my sister?" Suddenly, Jenny's voice pulled Lucas back from his thoughts. He snapped out of his daze and met Jenny's tearful eyes, saying with a pained heart, "I don't like Tina, I only like you. If you don't like her, why did you marry her?" Lucas pursed his lips and didn't answer immediately. He couldn't even figure this out himself. But he knew he couldn't let Tina go. Tina loved him, so she should be his. Before he could answer, Jenny asked again, "Then Lucas, what do you even like about me?" Hearing this, Lucas's lips immediately curled upward. He couldn't wait to share his secret with Jenny, saying, "When I was young, I accidentally saw you rehearsing in the dance studio, and since then, I could never forget you. You could say it was love at first sight." After these words, Jenny's expression subtly changed as she stared intently at Lucas. The love in his eyes was practically overflowing, yet she only found it ironic, laughable, because she couldn't dance at all. For a fleeting moment, Lucas caught a glimpse of disgust flash through her eyes, but upon closer inspection, Jenny's lips curled slightly upward, returning to her usual gentle and delicate demeanor. "Lucas, thank you for liking me." There were only 5 days left until the engagement banquet. The clinical trials for the new antibacterial drug are progressing smoothly, and a suitable heart is being matched simultaneously. I had just taken off my goggles and stepped out of the lab when I saw Harry waiting outside. He was sitting in a wheelchair, and as the weather in the capital had turned cooler, a blanket was draped over his knees. His face was still pale, but at least it looked better than when we first met. There was a bit more color in his cheeks now. I leaned down closer to him and smiled gently. "It seems my medicine is working after all, Mr. Lou. I spent a fortune to keep you alive. How about repaying me with your hand in marriage?" Harry's ears instantly turned red at the tips. He pressed a hand to his lips, cleared his throat, and turned his face away. Then he signaled his assistant behind him to hand me the invitation. I took it without hesitation. Only then did he respond, "All right." I chuckled softly, and as I opened the invitation, my gaze lingered slightly on our names written side by side. An indescribable emotion welled up in my heart at the same time. In my past life, the engagement banquet between Lucas and me was largely arranged by Mrs. Lincoln and my mother. The betrothal gifts from the Lincoln family were substantial, but compared to Harry's in this lifetime, they didn't even amount to 1/10,000th. He nearly gave me all his family fortune. I recognized his handwriting when I first received the invitation. I even complimented the person who wrote it, never imagining that person would be Harry. I can't begin to imagine what Harry was thinking when he personally wrote down my name and Lucas's. Is it a sincere blessing or full of regret? Seeing my prolonged silence, Harry thought there was an issue with the invitation and asked worriedly, "Is there something wrong with it?" "It's my first time writing one, so I don't have much experience." My mother suggested hiring a professional. "But I think doing this kind of thing yourself is more meaningful." He frowned, and even his assistant couldn't stand it anymore. "Harry holds a high position, and even though he's physically weak, he has never bowed his head to anyone, yet he's always so humble and cautious with me, all because he likes me." "Miss Tina, the invitation took President Lou several days to write. Even if you don't like it, I never said I didn't like it." I calmly interrupted him, then turned my gaze to Harry. "Harry's handwriting is beautiful." With that, I flashed him a smile. Only then did Harry's tense expression relax, his eyes gradually lighting up with amusement. Just as he was about to speak, an uninvited guest arrived at the lab. "Bro, what are you doing here?" Lucas cast a suspicious glance at Harry until his peripheral vision caught sight of the invitation in my hand. He then raised an eyebrow and said, "You could have just sent an assistant to deliver the invitation, bro. You're not in good health. There's no need to go through all this trouble." He stepped past Harry. When he familiarly reached to take my hand, I avoided it, leaving his gesture hanging in midair. "Tina, Lucas, perhaps you should first look at the name on the invitation." I handed the invitation to Lucas. The marriage between the Lincoln and James families has been the talk of the town lately. How could Lucas be so oblivious? Even now, he hasn't realized that the person I'm engaged to isn't him. Perhaps Lucas sensed something was wrong, finally willing to open the invitation for a glance. His expression instantly froze the next second. When he clearly saw the name on it, he looked at me in disbelief. "You're marrying Harry, Tina, are you out of your mind? Everyone says Harry won't live past 30, and you're marrying him. Are you prepared to be a widow? He growled, his face flushing crimson. Harry sat in the wheelchair, his sharp black eyes flashing with complex emotions as he restrained the surging feelings within, yet in the end, he remained silent. In this relationship, he had been too humble, not even daring to harbor the slightest hope. I hope he can say to Lucas, Tina is my fiancée, your sister-in-law. Yet he looked at me, the light in his eyes gradually faded. Tina, I know you're angry with me, but you can't gamble with your lifelong happiness just to spite me, Lucas said through gritted teeth. I simply replied calmly, I'm not being spiteful, Lucas, I've told you many times, I won't marry you, and I don't love you anymore, you're just too full of yourself. I like Jenny, so I'm stepping back, so I'm going to marry Harry, and you stay out of it, okay? The moment the last word fell, Lucas froze in place, his eyes bloodshot, he opened his mouth, utterly stunned. He couldn't believe these words had come from my lips. Even more unbelievable was that the person who had once cherished him above all else no longer loved him. After a long silence, he clenched his teeth and stubbornly said, You're lying to me, Tina, you're lying to me. I didn't respond to him anymore. Was I really the one deceiving him, or was he just deceiving himself? He knew it in his heart. Lucas tore up the invitation and left. He still refused to believe that this engagement party truly had nothing to do with him. But I had no obligation to explain further. In this lifetime, he chose the path he had always wanted to take. He shouldn't regret it now. Actually, Lucas was right. After a long silence, Harry finally spoke up. He looked at me, his gaze inscrutable. This time, I didn't say anything more. Truth be told, I was somewhat disappointed. Harry didn't believe he could survive, and by extension, he didn't believe in me either. On the way back home, Harry kept glancing at me from the corner of his eye. But I never looked at him, just calmly gazed out the window until the car stopped outside the James family villa. As I was getting out of the car, Harry finally spoke again, like a child who had done something wrong, and asked softly, Tina, are you mad at me? I pressed my lips together without speaking, turning my face to look at him. Harry said earnestly, Tina, if I've upset you, it's my fault, but please believe me, I didn't mean to. I asked, Harry, don't you believe I can keep you alive? He froze. Suddenly, I chuckled softly. I see, Harry, the engagement banquet is in 5 days. You can cancel any time. This time, the choice is yours. After saying that, I got out of the car and walked away. I knew Harry was watching me the whole time, but I didn't turn back. Self-righteousness seems to be a common flaw in everyone. Lucas is no exception, and neither am I. I thought I could help him. I thought that by marrying him, he would have no regrets. But it seems I never asked whether Harry was willing. The James family villa was brightly lit. As soon as I entered the foyer, I saw Lucas kneeling upright in front of my mother, just like the day he was reborn. Only that time, he was begging to cancel the marriage with me. But this time, it was the exact opposite. Auntie, I was immature back then. I shouldn't have insisted on canceling the arranged marriage with Tina. All the faults are mine, but you can't let Tina marry my brother. During this time, his affair with Jenny has become public knowledge, and his mother has long been disappointed in him. Even though she wasn't entirely satisfied with my marriage to Harry at first, Harry later proved himself in every way. For this engagement banquet, he personally oversaw every detail, leaving nothing to chance. Mother could clearly see who truly cared for me. Just as she frowned and was about to send Lucas away, she looked up and saw me. I smiled and told her, I'll handle it. Mother nodded and went upstairs. Once again, only Lucas and I remained in the living room. He looked at me, propping himself up on the table with his right hand as he stood, having knelt for so long. His knees were numb, and he nearly lost his balance. I frowned. I thought I'd made myself clear enough. Why are you coming to my house again? Lucas froze, his gaze turning somewhat resentful. Tina, I only want what's best for you, for my own good. I let out a mocking chuckle, then raised my eyes to stare at Lucas, stepping closer to him with each word. Lucas, don't you like Jenny? Now you've got your wish. We've called off the engagement. You're free to marry Jenny. What exactly are you still unhappy about? As soon as my words fell, Lucas's breath hitched slightly, his expression blank for a moment. I don't know. I thought it should be like this too, but But I can't watch you marry Harry. His gaze burned into me, his eyes tinged with red. I just found it laughable. Lucas is just like that. He's the darling of the heavens, so he always acts willfully and recklessly, because there's always someone to clean up after him. He never understands what it means to put himself in others' shoes. I will always remember, once, when a typhoon hit the capital, Lucas stubbornly insisted on having the little cakes from South City Street and demanded that I go buy them. I had no choice but to drive through the rain to buy it for him, a round trip of 4 hours. By the time I got home, it was already past midnight. Coincidentally, I had forgotten my keys that day and called Lucas several times, but he didn't answer. Later, he explained to me that he had fallen asleep and didn't hear the phone. But I knew he wasn't asleep. It was just too cold outside, and he couldn't be bothered to get out of bed. Wanting cake was just a passing whim, but if he asked, I had to give it to him. Why? Because I liked Lucas. I had to scavenge for sweetness amid shards of glass. Liking him was exhausting and painful, but I held on for 10 years. I really can't do it anymore, and I don't want to. After a long while, I said weakly, Lucas, you can't have your cake and eat it too, but you clearly like me. Choosing Harry, isn't that just settling for second best? You've liked me for so long, how can you suddenly change? I don't believe it. Lucas looked at me unwillingly, while I just curled my lips in mockery and said coldly, don't you understand yet? I stopped liking you long ago. The living room fell into dead silence. Lucas pursed his lips and remained silent for a long time, the pain in his eyes clearly visible. I tried to walk past him, but he suddenly reached out and grabbed my arm, asking in a soft, tentative voice, Tina, have you also come back? I froze for a moment but didn't deny it. Lucas seemed to understand in an instant. The corners of his lips curled into a self-deprecating smile as his fingers clenched my arm tightly, his knuckles turning white. I couldn't help but frown slightly as tears welled up in his eyes. No wonder you didn't choose me anymore, Tina. Since you've also come back, you know Harry will die at 30, why would you still choose him? Why would you rather choose him over me? He growled, his voice breaking towards the end as his entire body trembled. Lucas's sudden surge of emotion stirred a pang of bitterness in my heart. I rarely saw Lucas cry. The only time was when he begged me on his deathbed, his face covered in blood yet still pleading with me in utter humility. If there's a next life, let's not be husband and wife anymore, okay? But now you see, I've already agreed to him, already promised. But Lucas is still not satisfied. He asks for too much. I can't give it. Lucas, go back. He shook his head desperately, trying to stay by my side like he used to by acting spoiled. But Lucas forgot. Only the beloved have the privilege to be willful. I won't leave. Tina, give me one more chance. I won't make the same mistake again. I won't let you feel sad or hurt anymore. I've liked Jenny for so many years. I thought I'd keep liking her forever, but I realized, it's different. I don't know what to do either. All I know is that without you, I'd truly die. The more he spoke, the more pained he became, cautiously moving closer to me as he tried to take my hand. I avoided it, then looked up at him calmly and said, Lucas, this was your choice. No one will wait for you in the same place forever, so you can't blame me, and you can't take it back. The moment my words fell, all color drained from Lucas's face. Lucas was escorted out of the villa, but he didn't leave. Stubbornly standing in the courtyard the whole time, his gaze fixed unwaveringly on the tightly shut door, Jenny went out from home. No one knew what she said to him. Suddenly, he went berserk, gripping Jenny's neck with all his might, his eyes wide with fury, until a passing security guard forcibly separated them. Jenny finally caught her breath. No one knew what she had said to Lucas, but that night, she came to me. Jenny knocked on my door. Sister, can I come in? I raised an eyebrow slightly, looked up at her, and nodded. There were still obvious red marks on her neck, left by Lucas's grip. Jenny was someone I picked up at the school gate when we were young. She was 6 years old at the time, and I was 8, small and soft, just a bit dirty on the face. I begged my mother to adopt her, to make her my little sister. All these years, I've treated her well. Whatever I had, she had too. When people accused her of flaunting her status under my name, she'd bare her teeth and fight back. I knew she wasn't exactly a kind-hearted person, but Jenny never once hurt me. She obediently walked up to me and asked in a soft, gentle voice, Sister, you haven't spoken to me these past few days. Is it because of what happened at the club that day? I froze for a moment, then smiled. No, Harry told me everything that day. They were able to find me in time because of the message Jenny sent promptly. Sister, Lucas isn't someone worth entrusting your life to. I know you don't want to marry him either, that's why I've been pretending to go along with him. She paused mid-sentence, her eyes darkening with disgust, wanted to help you get rid of his pestering. He's not good enough for you. I stared at her intently, pressing my lips together without saying a word. In my previous life, after I married Lucas, Jenny left without even attending the wedding. She only left me a wedding gift. For many years after that, we rarely kept in touch, so I never considered Jenny a rival, whether in my past life or this one. I never held any grudge against her. She didn't do anything wrong. It was Lucas who was at fault. After a long silence, I asked her, "What did you say to Lucas?" Jenny's expression visibly stiffened before she finally tried to appease me by hooking her pinky with mine. It's not important. What matters is that Lucas, that annoying guy, is finally gone. I nodded suspiciously. In the following days, I didn't see Lucas again, thinking he had already given up, until the day of the engagement banquet. Lucas suddenly barged into the dressing room and locked me inside in one swift motion. He held me and cried like a child, looking even paler than a few days ago. His eyes completely bloodshot. He kept repeating, "I was wrong, Tina, I was wrong. It was my blindness, my mistake in judgment. I'm sorry, I let you down." That was when I found out what Jenny had said to him that day. Lucas lifted his shirt, looking at me pitifully. The tattoo on his waist had been removed and replaced with my name. At that moment, I only felt that Lucas was both pathetic and ridiculous. He begged for my forgiveness, pleaded for another chance, yet I remained silent, simply gazing calmly at the boy I had loved for 10 years. The heavens truly have a cruel sense of humor. In the end, Lucas was knocked unconscious by the bodyguards and dragged away. The day before the engagement banquet, Harry came to see me on his own. That day, he didn't say or do anything, just sat in the lab quietly watching me work for the entire day, occasionally lending a hand. When I got off work, Harry invited me to dinner. In our previous lives, we actually had little interaction. Apart from family banquets, we hardly ever met in private. I once asked Harry why he liked me, but he didn't answer. But that day, he told me the reason. At 15, a fleeting dance that took my breath away. When I heard these words, my heart skipped a beat. He said, "It's not that I don't trust you, I just don't trust myself. Tina, no one wants to live more than I do, and no one wishes for your happiness more than I do." He was just afraid, just terrified. If he really died at 30, what should I do? How should I spend those long years? He was afraid I would be lonely, afraid I would face the darkness alone. Even if he could make all the preparations before his death, he was still afraid of missing something. Only later did I realize, I thought Harry and I had no connection, all because he hid it too well. The anonymous investment in the research institute every year, every thoughtful arrangement at every banquet I attended, the most satisfying birthday gift each year, even including the grand wedding of my past life, the one-of-a-kind wedding dress, and the ring I designed myself. Lucas thought this was merely Harry's deepest blessing as an elder brother, yet no one had ever imagined he had walked such a long road alone. Fortunately, this time I saw it. Half a month after the engagement banquet, Harry successfully underwent a heart transplant surgery. The new medication showed no adverse effects on him. In his previous life, his body had been extremely frail, and he succumbed to infection before the 20th day, but this time, he survived. For 3 months, the entire Lincoln family wept with joy. In the hospital room, Harry sat propped up on the bed, his gaze resting on me. The love that had gone unseen for years erupted in that moment. The corners of his eyes tinged red. After a long while, he finally said, "Tina, thank you." I curved my lips slightly, leaned in a little, and just like that time we met at the club, reached out to touch his brow. "I told you, if you smile, I'll guarantee you a long life." As the words fell, Harry smiled. 6 months later, I saw Lucas once. He hit someone while driving under the influence and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The once golden boy had fallen into the mud. No one would indulge his whims anymore. Just like in a past life, Jenny went abroad the day before Harry and I got married, leaving me a wedding gift as well. The farce has finally come to an end, and I, Harry, am no longer walking alone. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.